planting season is officially going to start for me today. It's the 2nd of April. Now, I have planted seeds middle of March in the past, and oftentimes those really early plantings don't work. So I held off this year. And even when they do work, it seems like anything that I planted, the 1st of April always caught up to the early plantings anyway. So now I'm out here, I'm kind of strategizing before I actually put seeds in the ground. So this is a full bed here that's empty, and last year I had garlic in it. And I think this year I'm gonna cover that whole thing in potato, onions, or shallots, depends on what I have more of. And just lightly intersperse with it radishes so I get an early harvest out of it. The other bed, last year I had potato, onions in it, and I think some white salsify, and there were a couple of other crops I had in there. I think the mice ate most of them. And here we have a little grouping of spring onions that I'm going to be harvesting in the next couple of weeks. And that's a little grouping of potato onions. Maybe I'll transplant those. Along the fence I'm going to plant edible burdock. And that is because this is the first ground that unthaws in the winter. And I'll be able to get at those roots early March and eat them. I think I'll put one on this side too. So this is main crop garden number 4, and on the edges I have mostly honeyberries, but there's a few gooseberries mixed up with them. And at the edges on the south end I have 2 small apple trees and a little grouping of black raspberries, and there's a kiwi over there and a few serviceberry plants. But these 2 beds here are main productive beds. They've been very good growers. We're going to do something with it today. And this is what I accomplished this morning before lunch. I've got a couple of walls here of translucent panel, inside and outside. And I enclosed the whole thing so the mice don't get in here as readily. And I've done this before where it takes them a long time to figure it out. By then I got my crop in, and jumping over these translucent panels must be a little tougher for them. But I went ahead and I put in about 8 inches maybe of the compost that I made last spring, and then I used it to grow a couple of beds right here. And now this isn't its final position yet, because when I'm done growing this fall, I'm going to shovel this all out and then spread it on my gardens. So the compost will be used twice before I actually put it on the garden beds. This is very high compost aerobic. This is very high carbon aerobic compost. And I say high carbon because there were a lot of wood chips in it when I started. And that's what it looks like now. And what I'm thinking is that carbon is food for the soil life. And the soil life multiplies like mad. And it's the excretions and dead bodies of soil life that are growing all this topsoil that I've got going on. And I think the main ingredient is this carbon, or these wood shavings. I don't know where the heck that came from. There was a leek growing in there yet, even from the winter. It's real soft. Well, the upper half is a little harder. I'll bring that in, see if I can eat it. Okay. And the other project I did is, this is a mixture of compost, and I have a little clay in the soil here. I dug some holes for cement sonotubes to hold up a water tank, and there was a little clay in the soil, and I mixed this with clay and the compost. This is about equal parts of each, but it's layered. And right here is that soil. And you can see there's some clay in it. And like this is a clay right there. I thought the whole property was sand. And I think that clay and compost mix is a real winner. That's the median that I grew that one bean plant that grew 544 beans. I had some other pretty good crops in there too. So we're gonna try it again this year.